Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my Q&A because I hit 2,000 subscribers. You guys were able to ask me any questions you wanted and I'm going to be answering them today. First off, I just want to thank everybody, like every single one of you guys. If you're my subscriber, if you watch my channel, if you follow me on anything else, I just want to thank you so much because I am just so excited. Like, I never thought when I started a booktube channel that it was going to kind of take off as fast as it has. And comparing my main channel to this one, this really has taken off. Like, I cannot believe that so many of you are commenting and watching and sharing and subscribing, and I just love it so much, and I am so thankful. Like, from the deepest part of my heart, number one, I'm speechless, and number two, I am so thankful. I'm so glad to have you guys here, and I'm really excited for this Q&A. So we'll go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna start off with some questions that people asked me in my actual book club. If you're not in my book club, I have the link down below like always, and feel free to join. Just make sure that you answer all of the questions in order for us to, make you a member, because we want to make sure that you fit in with our group. Okay, so the first question, what is your favorite season? And my favorite season is fall. I'm one of those basic girls and I'm okay with it. But I love fall because I love how it gets a little bit cooler. I love all the different colors, the leaves. I love the music I listen to in the fall. I love pumpkin and fall type of like candles and flavors and coffees. And I just really enjoy that season. But Christmas and the holiday season comes up as a very close second. I also am a huge fan of Christmas and Christmas music and Christmas like coffees and flavors and all of that kind of stuff. So like those are my absolute favorites. What inspired you to start webebookn? Webebookn is my book club, if you didn't know, and it actually came about because I started getting back into reading a couple years ago, and my husband literally didn't want to hear me keep talking about some of these amazing books that I read. He is not a reader, and so, I could tell that he wasn't being mean about it. Like, he was listening, but he wasn't really listening. So I was like, gosh, I really need to find someone that I can talk books with, and I didn't have anybody locally that also wanted to read with me. So I thought, well, I'll just find a book club, and I looked on Facebook, and all of the book clubs that I joined didn't really have any type of discussion, or I just really didn't know how to get involved in those book clubs. So I decided I would make my own, and even with the couple people that I invited that were just randomly on like my friends, on my Facebook friends list, I started out with doing like, we would read a book together and do a monthly discussion, and people just like joined, and I didn't really have any way of really advertising it. I think I advertised it a little bit in the bigger book clubs that were just like, people would just post books, like nothing really happened in them. And so I started getting a few members there. And after like me having the book club for like a year, then it really took off. And that's when we started doing TBR challenges. I had made it super organized because I just didn't like how Facebook groups are usually like, just really confusing. And that's, this big, huge family, like book family, came out of webebookn, and I never would have thought, I think it's been like 2.5 years now that I've had the book club, and I never would have thought that it would blow up the way that it is. Next question is, what is your favorite book of all time? And I usually answer that All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover is my favorite book of all time because it holds a special place in my heart with it, being about infertility. And at the time that I read it, it was like the perfect book that I needed at that time. And I felt like I could relate to the characters, and I felt that the like sadness and just the depression and stuff that is talked about, I just felt like I was very understood. So that's why it's been my favorite book of all time. I feel like the more that I grow in my infertility journey, and especially once I do get pregnant, I think that that will probably change, and it won't always be my favorite book of all time, but it's just been that way for the last like year. What is one thing on your bucket list? And I don't really have a bucket list, like, honestly. But I always thought it would be really cool to go to like France one day. I would be okay with going anywhere, but if someone were to ask me, like, if I had to pick one place, I would probably pick France because I just really love food, and I feel like the coffee would be really good there. But other than that, I don't really have anything on my bucket list other than the normal, like, I want to have a family and, just those types of things, but I don't really think those are bucket list things. How do you come up with all these great reading ideas? It's between like me and all of my admins. Like we do a bunch of brainstorming sessions together. Sometimes I'll see something, sometimes I'll see something that we're gonna adapt. A lot of times it's a lot of other people's ideas. So it kind of just all comes together, and that's why the book club is so amazing, is because it's not just my ideas, you know, or I don't have to constantly be thinking of ideas. We kind of have a whole list of like ideas going on at one time, and most of the time we just have too many and we always have to push them off until, oh, we'll do it next year. Actually, a lot of people ask me how I read fast or any tips that I have to read faster, and I think it was just because I was homeschooled and I had to read a lot as a homeschooler, just the curriculum that my mom had, and a lot of them were classics or, you know, just at a higher level. But I've always been at a higher reading level to begin with, even when I was a lot younger, and I've always enjoyed reading. I don't know how I became like a fast reader or a speed reader, but I guess it's just because of all the practice, and I can easily like skim read and read really fast, especially if it's something that I'm not super interested in. And I think that's just off the basis of me having a lot of practice with skim reading, and also making sure that you're like, you don't have anything going on. Like you can't read a book, like I can't read if someone's like talking or like watching TV. So I try and go in a different room, and then that way I can really focus on it, because otherwise you'll just keep reading the same page over and over again. What made you want to start a YouTube, and what camera do you use? I think I got the camera question a couple times. I actually still film on my cell phone. I don't even own a camera. I've literally spent like $30 or $40 like actually having equipment for my YouTube channel, and that includes like a mini tripod that I actually have sitting on a stool, and my $12 microphone that I just invested in, and my editing software, which costs $20 a month. Eventually, like this fall, I do want to get a camera. I mean, I've been wanting to get a camera, but phones just have really good quality cameras anyway. And right now, like, I just don't want to put the money towards a camera if my phone is working okay. There's just a couple different things that, like, obviously, like, I have to get the questions off of my tablet, or if I'm like looking up information about a book, I always have to use my tablet instead of my phone because I'm filming on my phone, so I can't ever show you guys anything on my phone, which is kind of sad. But other than that, like, it's actually really great, and no one ever knows that I'm filming on my phone. What made you want to start a YouTube channel? So I started my main channel first, and so I don't know if this is just YouTube in general or booktube, but I'll answer both. My main YouTube channel was because I've always loved sharing my health and my lifestyle and my journey, and I usually just always did it through Facebook. And some of my friends told me I should start a YouTube channel because you could hit a larger following and possibly make money. And can't believe it's actually happening, but yes, I have made a bigger following and make money from my YouTube channel. And then because of the way the algorithm works for YouTube, I was doing some book channels on my main channel, but it's better to just have, not having too many niches going on like in your channel. So I try and stick to mostly keto and then like my main life in my regular channel. And then having just a booktube channel worked really well because YouTube's algorithm knew to send me, you know, for people that like reading books, not essentially maybe people that eat keto. You know, it's a little bit different. If you could visit any place in the world, where would you go and what book would you take along to read? So I kind of already answered that, which would be France. And what book would I take along to read? Probably a thriller or a romance, actually. I might take like a romance that I hadn't read because I'm in France. What are some good books from different genres we don't hear a lot about, but we should? I'm not a huge like outside my comfort zone reader, so I feel like I can't really say or like recommend any books that would be outside of thriller or romance, because those are just the genres that I enjoy, and I usually don't really like any type of other genres. If you could be friends with one of your favorite fictional characters, who would it be? I think I've said this before, but it's really hard for me to like or have favorite fictional characters because I read so many thrillers and you really don't get attached to characters in that aspect. But if I could be friends with anybody, I would pick Pike from Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, and if you've read this book, you totally know what I'm talking about. Someone else that had also asked, how do I read so fast? They also said, how do you read multiple books at a time as quickly as you do and provide such amazing in-depth reviews of said books? I actually don't feel like I give great reviews at all. I usually am not freaking out before I film something, but it's always really hard for me to do like a TBR video just because you have to say, you know, what every book is about. And sometimes I read the back of books or like a synopsis and I'm like, I really don't know what this book is about. Like, I don't know how to tell people what this book is about. And then also with my wrap-ups, I never remember people's names. Like, I have a really hard time remembering details like that. So I always feel like I'm saying like, oh, I just love this book. Like, just go read it. But I'm really thankful that you said that I have amazing in-depth reviews, so that's pretty awesome. What is something that you've experienced that has changed you as a person? I would definitely say that dealing with my infertility has changed me as a person. And I would say that because I have more empathy, I guess, for people, and I understand now things that, you know, should be said for, you know, new married couples or just, you know, couples in general. Like, I really despise some things that people say to me, even though they have never dealt with infertility. They don't know that it hurts. And so now I'm glad that I'm more aware of that. And I feel like that has definitely changed me, because before I would probably just have, you know, been super judgmental or something, or, you know, not understood why someone didn't have kids. What book do you think everyone should read, or at least try to read? And I think I would answer All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover for that one, because I think it was a really good eye-opener, especially for someone that hasn't dealt with infertility. So I feel like that message needs to be broadcasted more, and more people need to be understanding of it. My favorite drink, favorite author other than Colleen Hoover, what kind of camera do I use? How many siblings do I have? Why booktube? Fave childhood book? Okay, so favorite drink is coffee. Like, coffee, cold brew, lattes, anything, espresso. I just love coffee so much. I also love hot tea, but coffee is definitely the number one right there. Favorite author other than Colleen Hoover? That's really hard because I do have a bunch. I would say that Taylor Jenkins Reid has been another one of my favorite romance authors, if we're going with romance, because I'm like infatuated with 3 of her books. And then for thriller, I have a couple. I would say Riley Sager, even though his last book wasn't that great, Alice Feeney, and B.A. Paris? I don't know. I think. This is hard to think of at the spot. How many siblings do I have? I actually have 10 siblings. I'm from a very large family. And fave childhood book, I loved Laura Ingalls Wilder when I was younger. Like, I read that series so many times when I was a young kid. Oh my gosh, it was like my favorite childhood book ever. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given? I don't know. That's so hard to think of. I don't know, because I feel like a lot of times when I'm given advice, it's always at a wrong stage of my life, and I feel like it's stupid advice. So like, for instance, when I was younger, people were always like, oh, don't worry about getting married, like it'll happen. And I was like, that's stupid. I'm worried about getting married. Like, I want to get married and I can't find anyone. And then I met and married my husband in 6 months. So yeah, I'm very terrible at like listening to advice, I feel like. What book do you recommend to people if they need cheering up? I feel like because I read thrillers, I don't think that would cheer up anybody, but I mean, maybe Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas would cheer someone up, because it definitely cheered me up, if you know what I mean. How were you able to make so many friends and connections through BookTube? Actually, always wondered that about other people that were on BookTube. I've heard booktubers talk about how great the community is and how they have friends. And because of my main channel, I've never really connected with any other channels. So I was always confused. I was like, how do you become friends with someone on YouTube? Like, how does that even happen? But here I am, and it happened. And I think one of those things is like, you need to go and comment on other YouTubers that you like watching. So I know that I commented on a bunch of Gabby's videos, and she ended up following me on Instagram, and then I won one of her giveaways. And so she had DM'd me on Instagram, and we just kept talking through there. So that's how we became like really good friends. And then some other, like Shelby, for instance. Shelby, I think, came to my channel first, and she commented on a bunch of my videos, which made me go to her channel, which is Shelby Taggart Reads. I'll leave hers down below, as well as Gabby's too. So I went over to her channel and I was like, wow, she does read like all the thrillers that I read and more. And so now we've become really good friends, and she's also in my book club, and we're about to be doing something really fun soon as well, which you'll have an announcement video on the 25th. So yeah, super excited about that. But I have made a lot of connections and I can't wait to make more connections, but you definitely have to make sure that you're supporting those people. You can't just sit back in your corner and hope that people will come to you or try and be friends with you. Like, you also want to go out and follow people on Instagram and YouTube that you actually enjoy and, you know, talk to them. Do you have any baby names you love and are you thinking of using? So if you guys didn't know, I'm pretty sure I said this in my video multiple times, but I suffer from infertility, or like myself and my husband together. And I just went and got an update because it's been 4 years and we're doing IUI at the end of the month. So Shelby from Shelby Taggart Reads had asked if I had any baby names. And yes, for a boy, I know we're definitely gonna use Theodore because I think Teddy Bear as a little baby is so cute. Like, oh my gosh, Teddy is so cute. But I also love Theodore too. Plus my husband's name is Alvin, so everyone's gonna get a hoot out of that. No, there is no Simon. And then for a girl, I'm gonna use Alice, which is my grandmother's name, and I've just always loved Alice. I love old-fashioned names that aren't used very often, so that's where we're always gonna be probably going with our kids. What advice would you give someone wanting to start a booktube channel? And I would just say to make sure that you be yourself. Like, don't put pressure on yourself and think that you have to read all the other books that all the other booktubers are doing, that your videos have to be professional like some other booktubers. Literally just try and be yourself in all your videos. And I would say also to post on a consistent schedule. You don't want to post like once a month because it's going to be a lot harder for people to find you and follow you, and the YouTube algorithm works really weird. I guess another piece of advice I would say is to do your research on YouTube, because knowing your tags, knowing how to be searchable, knowing how to promote, those are very important things. So yes, you want to make good content and you want to be relatable and likable, but you also have to know the like computer side of it and know how to be searchable. What did you major in college? I have an associate's degree in culinary arts. Do you plan to continue working in the college restaurant or maybe something different in the future? And what's your husband's profession? Is he into cooking as well? Yes, my husband kind of likes cooking. It's not like he had any training or anything, but he does cook for me sometimes and I do enjoy it. Like, I love when he makes breakfast. I'm probably gonna be working in the college restaurant for this year. I go back in the fall, but if I get pregnant, I will definitely not be working after I have the baby. I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. And my husband, he also works at the college. He's the catering manager there. What is your biggest challenge as a minimalist? I would say it is really hard to see other people buying things, but you know that you don't need something, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like the consumerism part of it. It's like you see all of your friends like having something nice, new and shiny, and then you see it somewhere on sale and you're like, I could have that nice, new and shiny thing, but where am I gonna put it? You know, I actually had that problem with a book cart the other day because a lot of my friends got one of those book carts, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like the 3 shelf. I'll just pop up a picture over here. But anyway, they're always beautiful, right? And I actually found one at Aldi for like $25 and it was super cute. But, you know, I thought to myself and I was like, where would I put it? What would I put in it? Like, I don't need anything to be carrying anything. Now, if it was different, if, you know, like I actually was pregnant and we were looking things for the nursery, I would totally get it and use it in the nursery to hold like diapers and stuff, but I didn't need it. And so it's one of those things where like, it was such a good deal, I love it, you know, that type of thing, but did I actually need it? And that's the struggle sometimes I feel like with minimalism is, you know, not being peer pressured into buying things, that peer pressure, that's the problem. How do you get yourself out of a reading slump? I would say either pick a different type of genre to read. Like, if I'm in a thriller reading slump, then I'll usually pick like nonfiction or romance books, or I just take a break. Like, I just take days off of reading. Maybe I'll listen to an audiobook, but that doesn't happen very often. But, you know, just watch something on Netflix instead. Like, I don't know. There is a whole thing, and I know I feel bad sometimes if it's like, oh, I only read 5 books in a month or something like that. There is that pressure to always be reading, but just don't be so hard on yourself. And I feel like if you're not as hard on yourself, then you don't get into reading slumps as often. Who would your love interest be if you were the main character in your current read? Would you be okay with this? Why or why not? So my current read right now is The Woman in the Dark, and I don't know much about it because I'm only like on chapter 2, but it's a horror novel, and the guy, like the husband's being really sketch right now, so I probably wouldn't be okay with it. Okay, now we're gonna move on to some of the questions that you guys left on my like community tab for YouTube. I'm gonna be looking over on here because my computer screen is over there, and that's the only way I can access the community tab if I'm using my phone to film. So see, these are some of the things. So someone said, on average, how much time per day do you spend reading? And that just really depends. I don't have a set time per day where I say, oh, I have to read like 3 hours or, you know, something like that. I would say it really just depends on my schedule. Sometimes I can read a whole book in a day, which would be a couple hours. Sometimes I'm just reading like for an hour because I have so many other things to do. Sometimes I'm just reading here and there in between everything. When I go to work, I listen to audiobooks, and that's like an hour drive there and an hour drive back. So it just really depends. And then there's plenty of days where I like don't read at all. Like yesterday I didn't read anything, and I'm pretty sure the day before that I didn't read anything either. And it's looking like I'm not reading anything today. Do you have many close friends who enjoy reading as well? No, actually not. I have one local friend that enjoys reading, and she went to BookCon with me, and so I do like talking to her, but we have different genre interests. So I don't have anybody around that really likes, you know, reading thrillers. And so that's why I really like my book club, because I have a bunch of friends in there that love thrillers, or even YouTubers that I'm friends with. Like Gabby and I talk about thrillers all the time. Shelby and I talk about thrillers now, so it's really great. What genre of music do you listen to the most? Wow, I listen to, I would say, I guess pop the most, just because I listen to like the today's top hits on Spotify a lot, but then I love like indie and alternative music, but I usually try and save that to listen to during the fall, because that's like my fall music. I don't know, I'm weird, I know. And so yeah, for like pop music and stuff, like I love Taylor Swift. I mean, I just love anything that like really sounds good. I don't really have like all-time favorite artists where I'm going to like buy any of their music or love all of their music, unless it's Taylor Swift. That's like the only person. But I've been liking a lot of things by Post Malone recently. And then for like my indie alternative, like I guess Bastille and Hozier are probably still in the more poppy-ish, but I love all of their music. I love all of City and Colour's music, Lord Huron, all of those people. So those are like what I listen to when it becomes like full time. So if you have any recommendations for those things, definitely leave them down below, because I'm always looking for some good indie alternative music and good pop music. I just like good bops, okay? Like that's the thing. I just love to have a good bop. What is your current favorite song at the moment? Ooh, okay, so I really like Antisocial by Ed Sheeran and Travis Scott, I believe. And then there's actually a new Sam Smith song that I really, really like, and I don't even like Sam Smith, but like it's really, really good, and I totally forget like what it's called, but yeah. Whatever the most recent one is that he just came out with. What are your top 3 favorite movies and TV shows of all time? Gilmore Girls is one of my favorite shows. Good Girls is another one of my favorite shows. And I would say, oh, there's so many. This Is Us, because I love This Is Us. Like I live for This Is Us. But I also have watched every single episode and season of Pretty Little Liars because it was amazing. I've also seen every episode and season of American Horror Story. And, oh my gosh, I love Younger too. I've watched every single episode and season that's on Hulu for Younger because, hello, it's so funny and good. Ugh, Gabby, why did you tell me to pick only 3? That's bad. I can't pick 3. Okay, favorite movies. Bridesmaids. I love Bridesmaids. It's hilarious. I also really love What to Expect When You're Expecting, even though it's like a pregnancy. Well, it's like a comedy, but like it's still really great. Oh man, I don't know what to pick for the 3rd one. The latest Avengers movie was so good, so I'm just gonna pick that. I'm gonna pick Endgame, even though it's brand new. I cried. I've never been more depressed, like watching a movie ever in my life, but it was a good depressed because it was a bad sad, let's be honest, it was bad. What tropes do you like and dislike in a book? That is actually a really hard question, but I'm making a video shortly about, well, not shortly, whenever I figure out all the ideas that I have, but I'm making a video of what I like in a thriller, and then I'll probably make what I dislike, and then I'll probably do it for romance. So I'm not gonna answer that here because that's a really long question, but I will make a video about that soon. Who is your favorite booktuber / who do you remember watching first? I honestly don't even know who I watched first because it was probably just one of the really popular ones, like probably A Clockwork Reader, but I don't really watch them religiously now, and I don't even know if I'm subscribed to them or if they just kind of pop up in my like side feed thing, because I really try and only subscribe to channels I actually enjoy, and that is very far and few in between because I'm very picky. I know it sounds terrible, but like I only want to be subscribed to someone that I'm going to watch their videos, because I dislike when people subscribe to me, but then I know that they're not watching my videos. So I would rather, you know, only support the people that I actually enjoy. And I know that I probably found Books and Lala. I'm pretty sure I watched Books and Lala before Gabby, because I didn't find Gabby at first. But I would say that I watch all of Gabby's videos, whereas Books and Lala, I would watch the majority of them, but I definitely like always watch all of Gabby's videos. Then it says, what hobbies do I have outside of reading? I actually have a lot of hobbies. I play the keyboard, I do clogging, which is like Irish dance and tap dance kind of thing. I love cooking. I cook all of the time. I sing, I bullet journal, I do YouTube. I feel like there's more than that, because I literally listed this out like the other day for somebody else, and there's just a lot. Like, I just love hobbies a lot. I grow gardens. Like, I used to cross stitch, I just don't anymore, but yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm interested in. Okay, and last but not least are the questions that I got on my Instagram stories. And again, I'm gonna be looking over here because I had to pull them up on my computer. How did BookTube change your life? And I would say that BookTube changed my life by giving me a lot more reading friends and like connections. I love all the friends that I'm making on BookTube. I love all the people that are joining my book club because of my BookTube. And I also am really enjoying the, like, how I'm reading more and I like know more with my BookTube. Like, I don't know, a couple years ago, like when I was just becoming into reading, like I hardly had read anything. So I didn't know like what authors I liked or anything like that. And I really enjoy also being able to make like money and have an income and do this as my job in the future when I am a stay-at-home mom. It's just really great. Which genre is your most favorite to read and my least favorite? So my most favorite genre is thriller. My least favorite genre, I don't know if it would be historical fiction or fantasy. I think I would probably dislike fantasy more, because at least historical fiction is like in a real world situation and I love reading things that could happen in the world. Advice for someone who wants to start a bookstagram but hasn't read a lot or doesn't have a lot. Well, my advice is like, I would just start with your bookstagram and just post things that you're reading or things that you want to read. I definitely have not read for as many years as a lot of other people, and I felt that way when I started my BookTube channel. I felt that, you know, how was I going to be able to talk about books when I've only been reading for like 2 years? Even with my bookstagram, I don't own a lot of books, so I take pictures of the books that I do own, and then I take pictures of books that I've gotten at the library. And a lot of times I just take pictures of books that I enjoy. It's not necessarily because they're popular or because I like loved it. Sometimes I take pictures of books and I've never read it and I just didn't have a chance to read it. So I would just do what fits, you know, into yours. And you can always take pictures of the inside of the book. If like maybe it doesn't look great from the library, then just take a picture of the inside. But yeah, you don't have to own a lot of books to have a BookTube or a bookstagram or anything. Like, that's a total lie that people just think that in order to be a booktuber or a bookstagrammer that you have to have like the big bookshelves in the back of you. You don't have to own a lot of books. It's very much possible. Do you have a certain criteria as to when you decide to DNF a book? And I've been getting better at allowing myself to DNF a book quickly. I used to wait until I got to 100 pages, and now I feel like that is such a waste of time that I DNF a book pretty much if I'm just not getting into it by, like, I don't even know. I don't have a page number. It's just if I'm not feeling the book, I can always pick it back up later. So I have a special exclusive shelf on my Goodreads. So that way I can just move the book to there. It's off all of my other shelves. It's on the DNF shelf. So if I ever do feel like going back and actually reading it, I can. There's just so many other books that you could be reading, that you could be enjoying, to waste time on a book that maybe you're not in the mood for. Like, a DNF doesn't mean that you have to DNF it forever. Like, you can just DNF it for now because you're not in that mood and read something else that is getting you into the reading mood, and then you can always go back to it. It's not like the book's lost for forever. Why and how did I get into minimalism? So why is probably because we moved into a very small apartment. It was like 550 square feet. It was very tiny, and I have always been kind of a clean person, but I feel like in that tiny apartment, I just realized that we had too much stuff. I think I actually started with my wardrobe first because I've always been one of those people where I'm not really great at fashion, but you just hate everything that you're wearing. And so I decided to go through all of my clothes, and I did a like Project 333. I have videos on my main channel about this if you are interested. Essentially, you only have 33 items for your season. And I did that, and I've stuck with it. And then ever like when I had done that a couple years ago, I just got more and more into, why am I keeping storage for things, or why do I have things around the house that, they're literally just sitting there for me to clean. I'm not using them. We haven't used them in like a year or something like that. I don't even like them. I have it just because someone gave it to me, and I got rid of all of that stuff. I sold a bunch of it, so I made money from it. But now I only have the things that I actually enjoy, that we use, that we need, and I just really like it. It's a lot easier for me to clean. I can clean my whole house in like 1 hour. And sparkling clean, by the way. And it just works really well for our lifestyle. Best editing tool if you film on an iPhone. I actually don't film on an iPhone. I have an Android. I have the Samsung Galaxy 10, I believe it is. I think it's the 10. It's whatever the newest one was. I just got it in March. And for editing, I actually use Adobe Premiere Pro. I started out with Windows Movie Maker, which was free, but then after 8 months of doing my YouTube channel, I knew that I was like sticking with my YouTube channel. So I got the paid version of Adobe Premiere Pro, which is about $20 a month. I definitely would say to just use free programs when you first are starting, because you don't want to buy a bunch of equipment and decide that you hate the editing process, or you hate the filming process, or you decided it was just too much work, because it is a lot of work. So just make sure you don't put so much and invest so much in right at the beginning. I would slowly like get things as you enjoy it. Do you remember the first art/galley you ever received? I do not actually, because I win so many giveaways because I enter a bunch of giveaways on like publishing sites and stuff. I don't remember actually. I would really have to think about that, or like go back in my wrap-ups and see. And now, since I started sending emails out to publishers and stuff, I've been getting a bunch of new books. I actually got Dead Girls Club just today from a publisher, which is awesome because I didn't know they were sending it. It just showed up at my doorstep after I sent them the email. So that is super amazing. I'm sorry that this is such a long video, but I wanted to answer like everyone's questions, because I know that from now on in a future Q&A, I probably will not be able to answer everyone's questions. So I really wanted to get to everyone this time. I really hope that you enjoyed this. I actually thought it was really fun. Like, I feel like you guys got to know me a little bit better, and I'm just really glad to have you guys here and for you guys to care about what I actually say about, these answers to these questions. So thank you again for your support, and thank you for always watching. I will see you all in another video. Bye everyone.